If I learned one lesson from my Game of the Year list, it's that it's important to stay current on the big games that are coming out. So, to avoid the mistake of 2013 by not playing The Last of Us, I go through every new entry and make sure I try to play every game that catches my attention. At the beginning of each year, I add as many upcoming titles as I can to my queue on Gamefly, because for every obvious Game of the Year candidate like BioShock Infinite, there's a game I wasn't expecting to love like Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare. But in the instance of Motorcycle Club, I would have been much better off skipping it. I did drop it at one point, but I saw a user review on Metacritic that claimed this game was worse than Ride to Hell Retribution, and I couldn't pass up that challenge. And while, no, Motorcycle Club is not that terrible, it's pretty close. There is no story mode, as it's a pure racing game. Now, I'm in no way qualified to be a game developer, but I would think the most important features in this type of game would be the controls, as there's no story to get in the way. And I can easily say that if Motorcycle Club and Ride to Hell have one thing in common, it's the terrible, sluggish, non-responsive controls. Turning is almost completely useless, and the brakes are non-existent. If it was trying to be a bike simulation racer, then it might almost make sense, but there's jumps and a trick scored, so obviously it's an arcade game. The weirdest feature in this game is you can instantly switch between the 3 different bikes on the fly. You have a super bike, which is used for the straight parts as it is the fastest. There's the Roadster, which helps you maneuver through the curvy parts of the track. This bike is almost useless, forget it exists. Oh, in theory it's great, but the game decides at random how the handling works. Your turns are exactly the same in both of these bikes, but at one point, it just stops turning. It's weird to explain, but after a certain point, you just careen in a straight line, and it affects any bike. I'll take a turn on lap 1 and have no issues. On lap 2, I'll take the exact same line and get no response from the controls at all. Oh, there's also a third bike, which is the custom bike, used for the off-road portions. And by off-road, I of course mean the segments of tarmac that have been ripped up and not repaired for whatever reason. Of course, the best part is that while you can switch your bikes on the fly, your opponents can't. So what this comes down to is picking the tracks with the most off-roading sections and winning by over a minute. The winner of the race is actually determined by 2 factors. One is the obvious position you cross the finish line in, but the other is your overall kudos score, which you earn by doing jumps, driving at top speed, or going through these blue rings. And no, these rings don't provide a speed boost. The hardest part about this is you string together combos, which is nice, but if you even graze a wall during it, you lose every last point you accumulated. That nice 50,000 point combo you had? Gone. I missed so many gold medals because of this, and it's mostly because the controls screw you over. You're honestly better off coming to a complete stop if you have a high enough combo, but if one of the other racers barrels into you, it's gone. And in this game, all the other racers are on a set track, and their bikes are apparently made out of lead, so you better bob and weave. Besides the standard races, there's various constructor challenges you have to do to unlock more bikes, but you have to pay to gain entry into these. There are also missions, which should have been called challenges, as they are tasks such as finishing a race while doing a wheelie or going off a jump 5 times in one race. The worst part is you're given 3 at random, and you can only accomplish those 3. So it doesn't matter if you technically complete half of these objectives, it doesn't count until they say you can do it. And to complete the total terrible package, there's a total of 10 tracks in this game. 20 if you include their mirrored counterparts. Super Mario Kart and the Super Nintendo had twice as many tracks as that, and it's not like there's a ton of bikes in this game, so what did they put on this disc to fill it? Their Instagram photos? I'm always one to like a racing game a little bit more than it deserves, as evidenced by the fact I sorta liked My Sim Sky Heroes and Pocket Bike Racer, so giving the score to a racing game is tricky for me. Just kidding, Motorcycle Club gets a 1 out of 10. The only redeeming factor is the fairly simple platinum trophy, if you can find some people to race online. But take my advice and steer clear of this one. Just go pick up a Genesis and get Road Rash instead.